Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Authentic Conversation with Adele podcast. I am your host, Adele Bernard, and I just want to share a little bit about what we do at Transition Clarity before we have our guests come on. And Transition Clarity is all about bringing you home. What does that mean? It's about what conditionings, what untruths, what belief systems do you hold that are keeping you in the illusion of the matrix? And how are you stepping up to be your most authentic self in this huge change in the world right now? As we're recording this, we've just shifted into the year of the horse. It's all about the movement forward, being in the flow. And if you want to know more, and understand how you can step up to be your most authentic self, would love to hear from you. You can find us on LinkedIn, you can find us on Facebook, or you can find us at bit.ly backslash capital T for transition and capital C for clarity. And with that, I want to invite our guest today. I'm excited to have Todd Krause on the show. He's a CPA MBA and the founder of Silver Sun Consulting. From growing a bank division to 14 billion in assets to scaling a cleaning company to 60 plus employees and 4 million in revenue, Todd equips leaders with practical strategies to lead with clarity, confidence, and accountability. He was honored as a franchisee of the year by the International Franchise Association and the Cleaning Authority. He also wants you to know that he survived a number of traumatic transitions and each time has discovered a better life on the other side of those transitions, which include being spun out of Anchor Asset Management into his own fund administration before he had a real company. Being laid off after his 25th wedding anniversary and 2 weeks before Christmas with a family and two small children to support, learning in November 26th that his medical condition is chronic and genetic, that requires IG replacement therapy. With all that said, let's welcome Todd to the show. And here we are. Welcome to the show, Todd.
Well, thank you, Adele. I appreciate the invitation to be here.
Okay, so everyone has kind of heard what you wrote, but now I want to hear it in your own words and just, yeah, expand a bit of what you said in the writing. Um, and I loved how you said every transition was a betterment.
It was. It didn't feel good at first, and I don't think they ever do feel good. But looking back after you make it through the transition, I always landed in a better spot.
Hmm.
So to fill in the backstory, I grew up in rural southeastern Wisconsin, son of a milk hauler. And I'll be honest with you, I always felt like a fish out of water. From as little on, all I can remember my parents saying is when you go to college. So it was always in my brain, when I go to college. And I landed at Marquette University in Milwaukee,
Hmm.
made that huge transition from this little kid who was just terrified to get on the bus to go to kindergarten to actually moving to an inner city campus in the center of Milwaukee. Graduated in the middle of a recession
Oh,
and actually had married a woman I was dating before I graduated. So we graduated married, not at all common, in the middle of a recession, which was hitting the Rust Belt particularly hard. Milwaukee was still very much a manufacturing town at the time.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Looked and looked and looked for 6 months to try to find a way to get a job.
mm-hmm.
Finally, my parents said, we'll help you move to Chicago. My wife was from the northern suburbs of Chicago. They themselves were experiencing the recession. It was hitting their business. So for them to help us was stretching their limited budget even more than it was already stretched. To get to the northwestern suburbs of Chicago, in 6 weeks, find a job. So big transition there was graduate in December, an unusual time to graduate. What do we do now? We paid our bills working temp jobs for $3.35 an hour while we searched for jobs. When we got to the weekends, we might have had $5 left over.
Yeah.
Money was just so incredibly tight. But things took off once we got to Chicago back in 1986 and found the first jobs. So the first jobs for both of us were not right for us.
Yeah.
And we could tell right away that we were not a fit. Things definitely, there were signals coming from bosses, from just the work environment. We were in the wrong places. Wife quit, went to work for a small bank. I moved over to a family office. I actually worked for the Crown family.
Okay.
At the time, they were like a $3 billion family in Chicago, and they had approximately 200 professionals working for them. It was just eye-opening to really see how people with wealth live and what they do.
Mm-hmm.
For somebody who at this point is just in the early 20s
Right.
and come from where I did, the background.
Yeah.
My wife's job collapsed within a couple of months. The bank was taken into receivership. She found a job through a friend. So we're going through transition after transition here. I realized that while most of the people who worked for the Crown family actually liked what they were doing, for some reason I landed in a department with very high turnover. And as I heard about the history of the department, I thought, oh gosh, here we go again. Doesn't seem like anybody lasts in this lady's department for more than 6 or 8 months.
Yeah.
Somehow I toughed it out for just over 3 years. And then I moved on to Harris Associates, which was just for me, I was finally hitting my stride. I finally landed in a better place.
Mm-hmm.
So again, another transition, but a landing in a better place.
Mm-hmm.
Getting to Chicago was the start. Then landing at Harris Associates. I stayed there 11 years. I got promoted three times.
Mm-hmm.
But I landed in the C-suite while I was at Harris Associates and became the controller of one of their subsidiaries. And then I became the controller for the entire Harris Associates operation before I left. So I moved to a small asset management firm.
Hmm.
who had international clientele. Harris Associates was domestic, Anchor was international. So I'm getting dumped into this swimming around in this world of international clients with people investing from Europe
Hmm.
and all parts of the globe. They wanted to spin out the back office and create a service provider. And guess who was going to get spun out? Me. On paper, it obviously was a brilliant idea. It
Yeah.
takes a part of the company that is an expense and it turns it into a profit center. It really was a brilliant idea, except that we had this tiny little problem. It seems a couple of planes flew into a few towers
Yeah.
on 9/11, and our market seized up for about 4 days. I don't know if people remember, you couldn't even do banking transactions for 3, 4 days. Everything just stopped.
Oh, yeah. You can do anything.
No, you couldn't. You couldn't even go to the bank and withdraw money.
Yeah.
It just literally stopped.
Yeah.
So all the international investors got panicky, thought the world was ending, sky was falling, and demanded their money back. So Anchor Asset Management imploded. And here am I with this little, it's more of a business on paper than a reality, going, well, we're going to start this fund administration company.
Hmm.
My partner and I looked at each other and said, well, we're going to make this thing fly. I didn't have a safety net. I had a young son at home and had actually just brought home a daughter that I adopted. Both son
Mm.
and daughter were adopted from Korea.
Oh, nice.
And I'm going, okay, we got bills to pay and we got a company to grow.
And to keep a roof over your head for your wife and your kids.
Yeah. I mean, no stress at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just stress, stress, stress is what it really was. But it worked. And we found clients and it grew.
Yeah.
And we got to 2004, which was this magical year that we kept adding clients, we kept adding staff, and we didn't lose anybody. I'm thinking everybody who's in business should get to experience a year like that once in their life.
Well, and I just want to interject for a second because it also, you have to start by thanking that first manager for being so awful. So you learned what not to do.
I did. But I didn't realize it at the time. And I was already, even back then, managing and leading differently.
Yeah.
It was only later in life when I look back and I said, well, what was I doing and why did it work? Because I kept repeating the same things over and over more intuitively rather than consciously
Hmm.
for a time.
And I like that you use the word intuitive because a lot of men will say, I'm not intuitive. That's women. And I'm like, okay, so we call it business sense. It's still intuition with a different label.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. All human beings have intuition.
Hmm.
It is not a female male thing. It is all human beings have it.
Yeah.
Well, some of us do better than others is listen to it.
Hmm.
And I had the very good fortune of running into Roberta Schwartz, who did help me with some of my early job transitions. She was just some older lady who had a coaching type of business. And she noticed and she said, Todd, you have a very, very good sense of what to do. You just need to listen to your gut more. And she encouraged me to bring that out more and to when you get that feeling down here in your
Yeah.
gut that something's not right,
Yeah.
to listen to that more and trust it.
Hmm.
And those are the two key things, listening to it and then actually trusting it.
Yeah.
So that number three, you can act on it and do something.
Hmm. And that's very important, especially in these times right now where things are moving fast and, like people are getting the handshake out the door, or, health issues are coming up, or, like, what do we do? And instead of, like, I love the fact that you went, okay, what's this showing me? How am I going to transform this, right? And you looked at your business partner and said, well, this has to work because we have no other option, right?
It, and one of my partners who I brought on a little bit later called it building an airplane in the air. And I'm thinking that's a pretty good way to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
I had this mental picture of this skeleton of a plane flying and somebody hanging out the side, bolting on a wing, somebody's bolting on another piece.
But it also like attests to your vision and your way of explaining it to a partner or partners, that we might be in the air building this, but we're flying. It doesn't matter. We're flying. And so people can get behind the idea because in your mind, there's no fail.
I think that you put it very well because you develop this picture, this mental picture of what it's going to look like, and you keep navigating toward that image.
Mm-hmm.
And you keep avoiding the roadblocks in the way. At times you have to change direction, but you're always working toward an image of what you're building.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like the movie, right? Build it, he will come.
They did, yes, or we were able to make them come.
Mm-hmm.
One partner is very good at generating business, and we tag teamed on actually closing them. And my strength was more operational.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd bring me in as the knowledge expert. We'd close them and then go take care of them, service them.
Mm-hmm.
It was a relationship there that worked very, very well. But we were operating on a shoestring budget, and the world was changing rapidly around us.
Mm-hmm.
Companies with deeper pockets were buying technology we couldn't afford. It's easy now when you can get a lot of this stuff for a couple $100 to forget how expensive it was in 2003, 2004, that
Yeah.
it was many thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And a lot of these apps and everything that we just plug and play so easily in our lives today didn't exist
Mm-hmm.
at that time. So the world was consolidating and we were being kind of crushed into this little corner because we didn't have ability to process high volume transactions.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have deep portals where investors could log in and see their accounts.
Mm-hmm.
So we kept it going for a while, just focusing on very, very specialized situations that don't fit into the typical software that services
Mm-hmm.
funds and investors. And that worked for a time.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was invited to have coffee with a gentleman named Paul Jessup, and he was from ABN AMRO LaSalle Bank. ABN AMRO LaSalle Bank had decided to enter fund administration. And they put together a team of three people who were tasked with getting it off the ground. But they didn't know how to do fund administration. They were searching for a knowledge expert. And that just chance cup of coffee led to my being recruited to help them launch and grow this business unit.
Hmm.
I loved it. I didn't mind the long hours. It was so exciting to be inside of a large bank with the resources to get the tools that I could only window shop and
Yeah.
look at from the outside at
So
my own
did you
company.
shut down your company at that point when you went over to the South?
My partner took it over. He kept it going for about 14 months
After.
after, and then folded what was left of it into another company that operated in town. But it was already at that point on a downward spiral.
Yeah.
So this came along at a very, very good time.
You
But
have that magic,
it, well, I have an uncle who made a comment about my his oldest son and me and said that we could fall into an outhouse and come out smelling like roses. And as I look back on life, it's been pretty true.
Yeah.
But that first half of 2006, I was going, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Oh my God, oh my God. That lasted until late 2007. The bank was bought out, the bank was chopped up. Bank of America bought LaSalle Bank and was not interested in anything that we did in our division. That put an end to that.
Hmm.
And then I launched literally into 4 years of hop, 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 hop. It's easy to forget what the economy was like, the real estate implosion,
Oh yeah,
the
it tanked.
turmoil in the markets in 2008, 9, even into 2010. It was still, are we getting better? Are we not getting better? By 2011, you could look around and say, yes, things are getting better. 2012, you're saying, oh, yes, now it's feeling better. But for just firm after firm after firm, it landed as a CFO for a small mutual fund operation, only to find out that the week before I landed there and walked through the door, the board had decided to sell the funds. So instead of coming on board to help them grow, I was coming on board to keep the lights on until they could sell them.
Jeez.
It, it was it was a transition.
Hmm.
2010, we celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary. End of November, I was laid off December 15th. I searched until mid-March for my next opportunity, landed at Adler School of Professional Psychology as their CFO, controller, and kind of de facto CFO. There was a person above me who had that title, but operated more as like a VP.
Hmm.
The school had big plans to grow, but they've been struggling for years to get their numbers up. They were losing people left and right on the administrative side. They were working everybody very, very hard.
Yeah.
So 2012, I switched back to fund administration, NAV consulting. Came along again just in time.
Hmm.
I was really not feeling good about my life
Hmm.
there at all. I switched again in 2016 to Alter Domus
Hmm.
because I reached a point where I was hitting a wall at NAV consulting. And I just, my gut was telling me again, and not fitting there.
Hmm.
Of all things, it was a person who ran the division that I worked for at LaSalle Bank, who had started his own company doing the same thing that that division did, who hired me.
Mm-hmm.
And he hired me to bring my knowledge and bring my experience and to do what I was doing at LaSalle Bank, help them build it, help them grow it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was exciting. But this was also the year that I got my diagnosis because I've been living with health problems. I didn't know what they were, frequently getting sick, uh, mostly sinus infections and bronchitis. I had avoided getting pneumonia somehow. As I look back on that, I've been quite lucky that way,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't know why. The doctors had always just been quick to give me another prescription for antibiotics.
Which don't work. Sorry.
What they should have done is they should have noticed the pattern a lot earlier and just said, you're sick pretty frequently. Let's run a few more blood tests and find out why.
Well, and I don't, I like, I know we're in different countries, so I don't know how your doctors work because you're on a different system. But it's like you're only allowed one question when you go to a doctor here, and they don't have the time. Like, I had one doctor tell me she could do a whole 4 year medical program in what they get sent in a day of new information, new, watch this for medicine. And I'm like, you don't have time to be with your patient to actually hear what they're saying. So, as much as you are saying, if they just did a few extra tests, they might have caught it earlier, right?
That's right.
But they don't have time.
No, they don't. And
And
yes, the
so,
systems are different.
well, and like that's why, WebMD is so popular because we're becoming our own doctors. So when we have our one, and if we can get two questions in before they kick us out of the appointment, we can say, well, I saw it. What does that relate to me? Anyways, carry on.
Well, you're right about the doctors. Here, our doctors have buried heads down in their laptops, typing data into their system,
Mm-hmm.
and they really stopped examining us as their patient
Mm-hmm.
a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
So they ask a battery of questions, enter the answers. 15 minutes later, your appointment's done. I'll
Oh,
have my,
if you get 15 minutes.
yeah, if you get 15 minutes.
Ours is 7.
Oh my gosh, we do get more than that.
Yeah. But you pay more. Yeah.
But I mean, leading
Okay,
up,
so then this is I don't know if you're done where you're going, but this is where I think of, so the younger generations will have up to 15 different careers. Like at
easily.
least at least you stayed kind of in the same realm of your vocation, right? And yet it's like there is, I heard something the other day that said more and more large companies are going by the wayside because everyone is going to be entrepreneurial, bringing their talents to the project and moving on. And it's really interesting listening to your cycle of like go here, go here. You kept on leaving just to take your knowledge, your expertise to the next fit. And when that fit didn't work, you moved on.
I did.
Not consciously, but like you were saying, like you were guided differently and it always led to better.
And that is absolutely true. And I realized that as I got older.
Mhm.
So when I was in transition periods, I found myself being less stressed and less worried about it and more focused on what do I do to the place I need to be.
Mhm.
I have worked with people who just would cling to their job at a particular company. They weren't happy, but they were afraid to let go and move on. And then years later, they're trapped. That's all they know. Their specialty is that job at that company.
Mm-hmm.
They stop having skills that are transferable.
Mm-hmm.
They become an expert in the way that company uses its tools to do what it does.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I also think back at your first manager, and to have that kind of turnover in a company, one, obviously look at the manager, right? Two, the company wasn't taking the reins and saying, okay, this manager maybe not is maybe the fit that is not working, not the people that we're hiring. And three, how awful is their home life outside of work that they're just little growly bears at work that people don't want to be around.
You would think that companies would notice that and do something. A lot of
No.
times they do not.
They're in silos. They got their head buried and they don't even look outside their office.
And you'll often find that people who are these growly bears toward their staff have managed to get themselves very comfortably well positioned with their peers.
Mm-hmm.
They've oftentimes become very close with their peers, that's managers at their levels or their direct superiors who think they're doing a wonderful job, and they don't look or they choose not to look more deeply into it. They have to see the numbers, they have to see the constantly revolving door, the changing faces in these departments.
Yeah. Well, and maybe that is if they want to have their head buried in the sand, then they are the most shocked when they get walked out the door,
Oh, I think that's likely to be true.
right?
Yes. But in the mid-sized and larger companies, the higher you go, there's a lot of politics in management.
Mm-hmm.
Many of these people that we're talking about are very, very good political operators.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting you said that because I worked with a project manager at one time and I said, "Why did you take a demotion?" Because he was a manager with his own department. And he says, "Well, I don't think of it as a demotion, as a right motion." I said, "Meaning what?" He says, "I like being in the field. I don't like people that much. So I can project manage you. Don't come to me with your HR stuff. I don't care." So as a manager, he got buried in the grind of it, but as a project manager, he could manage all the people to trust they're doing their job. Go, leave me alone.
There
Yeah,
are people who are very, very good at that,
yeah. But I
and
like how he said it was a right motion,
yeah,
you know?
it was for him.
Yeah.
And there's other people that need to do a right motion.
Mm-hmm.
See, here's what happens. Somebody who is very good at task processing tends to get promoted.
Mm-hmm.
But you reach a transition point where you're no longer task focused, getting directly responsible for getting things done. And now you're up here and you're responsible for getting things done through
Mm-hmm.
other people. Now you've entered the world of management. That is a very, very different skill set.
Absolutely.
And many people do not do a good job of making that transition.
Well, but even bring it down to the granular level of the family unit, right? If you don't have the strong leader of the family unit, I'll show you chaos in the kids and in the home, right? But if the
Please.
unit is strong and their leadership is right, then the kids thrive. The house is clean. Everything gets done. There's calm, there's fluidity. And it's no different. Take that family unit and throw it into, a company of 500 people. If those top heads are crazy at home, it's going to be crazy all the way through to the janitor. And here's
That's
another
probably
thing.
true.
And we'll get into how you got into the cleaning because, people were like, "How can you just get the janitor here so fast?" And I said, "Because I know their name." And they go, "What?" I go, "I took a minute or two when I saw them to find out their name, where they're from, who they are. So I got direct tap. I need you in this room. Okay, we'll be there in a few minutes."
You
If you don't
recognize them
have
as a person.
respect for the everybody, but it works the opposite way too, right? You're supposed to have respect for your VP or whatever, but if the VP's not giving you respect, why am I going to have respect for you? I appreciate that you made it to VP level, but you did it on the backs of people that you didn't respect. So it all
So
comes full circle, right? Like,
it does.
and it's also like the lesson of, you know, you go to the restaurant, you make your 7-year-old find out the waitress's name, right? Get them to order for the family, get them to have that communication. They're going to be 30 watching the 50-year-old snapping their fingers trying to get the server's attention. They're ignoring him because that's not respect. But Johnny, Sally, can you come bring us some more coffee? Sure, because you took the time. Anyways, okay. So now you go from corporate on your
Correct.
last, I'm out of here without knowing it, and you start in your own company and cleaning. How was that transition?
Well, it wasn't the way I planned it. Things at Alter Domus could have gone a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
I never did get a chance to really help them grow or improve their processes. Alter Domus even created a small group, three of us, tasked with helping them do what they do better. And we were unable to affect any change. One by one, everybody in the group left.
Mm-hmm.
I spent my time in Chicago from when I was hired in the middle of 2016 until August of 2018, trying to help them change. Then I took a transfer to Indianapolis to head up a credit team.
Mm-hmm.
The working conditions were brutal. People were coming in at 7:30, quarter to 8 in the morning and working until 8, 9, 10 o'clock, sometimes midnight at night to get things done. Turnover was high. We sat next to departments that had 80 and 100% turnover every year. I could tell, I could tell it just was not going in a good direction no matter what. I had
Well,
actually
how
started
can it
looking.
with that kind of turnover?
It wasn't. They would
Like
just get it done, get
no
it
one
done,
would
get
know
it
what they're
done.
doing because they're leaving. They're leaving.
Yeah.
There's no
It was
continuity.
just get it done, get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it takes, get it done. I was not able to find my next opportunity before they decided that they didn't need me.
Mm-hmm.
I was put on probation. on my birthday, February 20th, 2020, and then I was let go March 6th. So I was really only given not even 3 weeks to demonstrate to them that I was capable of doing what they demanded.
And you had moved for
I
this job?
moved in August of 2018 to the Indianapolis area, northern suburb. So I got
Wow.
that walk of shame past the team I managed right out the door by HR
Which is so rude.
at 11:30 a.m. March 6, 2020. And then within about a week, with the COVID lockdowns hit us all. But honestly, 10 days later, I found a cleaning business for sale. The reason I found is I did what I always do when I'm looking for my next opportunity. I use a three-pronged approach.
Mm-hmm.
One, what's the next corporate job that I could find? Two, what's available in the world around me to buy that's an attractive opportunity? And three, what could I start or build myself? So if you want to think of it as irons in the fire, as the expression goes, if I or what marketing would say, fill the hopper with as many opportunities as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I always thought very broadly when I'm looking for my next opportunity, rather than having a tunnel focus that it has to be a replacement for what I had.
Mm-hmm.
I discovered the cleaning business available on a business broker website 10 days later. The broker introduced me to the owner. We started talking. We were meeting in April and I decided to buy it. It was didn't close in July as we initially hoped, but it closed in September. Things were delayed because of COVID.
Yeah.
It was when I first showed the information to my wife, her reaction was a cleaning business. I said, "Ron, look at the numbers, look at the information here. This is actually a very good, interesting opportunity. It would take care of us very well. A cleaning business."
So what? Okay,
I
I'm interested in her hesitation. What was her hesitation in it?
just
Like
because it
the
was so
stigma
different.
of a
It
cleaning
was so
business?
different from what I've been doing because I've been following a corporate path for quite a few years at that
Oh, she
point.
was unsure of the entrepreneur thing. But it's
Not
still
now here I
corporate. You just own it.
That's another way of looking at it. A lot of people don't see it that way though.
Well, I know. But I remember I grew up in an entrepreneurial family, so I don't know any different.
Sure, well,
But
we would be,
technically your career track of corporate, you've been a sole contractor. Like you've been your own
yeah,
company.
I own it, so I am the chief executive, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I don't use that title. I just call myself owner.
Yeah.
But the typical reaction of people when you tell them this is, "Well, that's high risk." I go, I don't think so.
Yeah. Did you see
Think
how
of it
many
this
doors
way.
I got let go of? I don't think this is high risk.
I say, think of it this way. You work for a company, you have exactly one client.
Yeah.
That client either loves you or they don't. They either have a job for you or they don't.
Yeah.
And if they don't, you lose 100% of your income.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a business and you have six or 800 or 1,000 customers, do you think I'm going to lose sleep tonight if Mrs. Smith calls me and cancels her service? No, I've got how many hundred other customers? I'm going to go and find 4 or 5 customers to replace Mrs. Smith.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's a different mindset, and this is where we started the conversation of following that gut intuition. It will never lead you wrong.
It led me to a good place.
Hmm.
and an opportunity that was just ripe for change. I found out after I took over that the previous owner didn't treat people very well. Turnover was high with the cleaners,
Because he just
turnover was
wanted
high with the
money.
customers, quality was low. My managers later told me that they were thinking about leaving, and then I came and I took over.
Hmm.
But it took a while to change that mindset. I had to have a number of conversations with them where I said, okay, 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 have a seat, please. The
Yeah.
prior owner has left the building. We don't do that anymore. We
Yeah.
don't treat people that way.
Yeah. How, from the time you took it over, how long did it get your staff to realize you were different, you're coming in different, you you had a different way of working, and it was collaborative instead of top down heavy. It was, we're a family and we're going to work hard together.
The managers really started internalizing it probably toward the end of the first half of 2021.
Oh, so a while. Okay.
It did take a little while, and we didn't find the solutions that worked immediately. But when we found the right solutions, they worked quickly because we implemented a quality plan. And the reaction was, oh, that's nice from most of the staff. But then when we started tying bonuses to it, all of a sudden things changed within weeks.
Ah, good old money
Because,
as a motivator.
yeah, so we simply tried to bring everybody from top to bottom into alignment.
Hmm.
Customer, owner, managers, leaders. It's an imperfect alignment, but it is an alignment. So when the customer says they did a good job, money on their paycheck, next paycheck. If the customer goes and leaves a positive Google review, more money on their next paycheck. All of a sudden, the cleaners go, whoa, money.
Yeah. I don't have to go get the second job.
You're not asking them to do more work. We're
Yeah.
just asking them to, with the work that they do, to do it well,
Yeah.
to care.
Yeah. And those people that do the actual cleaning are the hardest workers ever.
They are. And
Because
it's not uncommon for them to have multiple jobs.
I know, but I'm like, I just know when I clean my own house that I'm like, ugh, right? Because, it takes a while. And I also, my sister had a cleaning company. I'd help out every once in a while. I'm like, I don't know how you guys do this every day. So, like, hats off to those cleaners, and even more so that their customers commented that they're doing a great job, right? That it's not going overlooked, that the cleaner saw that corner that wasn't getting touched or, you know, found that thing.
Now, here in the United States, and it may be similar by you there in Canada, the
Hmm.
people who are willing to do this work are the immigrants, predominantly the Hispanic workers.
Hmm.
And they will do anything to provide for their families and to get ahead in life.
Hmm.
So we have really tapped very deeply into that community in order to find our workers.
Hmm.
That's really how I won franchisee of the year the first time.
Yeah.
I put up a flag for every country represented by one of our workers. There are about 14 countries that our workforce comes from. I made an offhanded remark to somebody at corporate that our entranceway looked like the United Nations. So they came out
Perfect.
and started snapping pictures of all the things that we were doing because they noticed that suddenly my franchise was on a rapid upswing and things, the numbers and everything had just really started trending in the positive direction very quickly.
Hmm.
And that resulted in my getting nominated for and accepted as franchisee of the year by the International Franchise Association.
Hmm.
And
And I
then,
want the listeners to know that this isn't a little feat. Like, to be honored as a franchise owner in that way is a huge honor.
it is, that's an enormous worldwide global organization.
Hmm.
And it's not individuals who are the members, it's the franchisors who are the members of the International Franchise Association.
Hmm.
The parent companies are the members.
Yep.
And then 2 years later, I won franchisee of the year just from the cleaning authority. But the managers really started stepping up and really just started owning their roles, running the business.
Hmm.
I unfortunately did have to let a gentleman go in late April 2021. I discovered he was stealing from the business.
Hmm.
And that's when I simply had told Miriam and Erica, who were the remaining managers at this time, that I prepared them, that they were stepping up. And I
Yeah.
made sure that they were comfortable stepping up and running things. But I mean, even when I let the manager go after walked him out the door, came back and they were sitting there in the conference room looking like a bomb had gone off in the middle of the room. But I mean, that's when I told them what I needed.
Yeah.
Like I said, I explained my health situation, the challenges that go with it. And I said, I need you to run my business and care about it the way an owner would. And my thank you to you is I will create a path to ownership for you. So as we speak, my management team over a number period of years is buying the business and it will
Yeah.
become theirs.
Yeah. And that, I mean, I think about this and I think, thank goodness all those doors shut on you so you could be that person to step up and show your managers a different way.
It worked out. It was a real blessing to me personally. But the longer I was out there in the world of work, the more I realized that many of those doors I was knocking on that were closed to me were
Hmm.
not the right doors. I
That's
was,
beautiful. I
I
want
was,
everyone to hear that.
I started to be amazed at just how many times the people I interviewed with later, within months, oftentimes, were interviewing with me asking for a job, saying just things are not good where they are. They need to get out. And I was thinking, oh gosh, I dodged a bullet. What if I had been accepted and given that position? I might be them just a couple of months later looking for my next job.
Yeah. Well, and I think, okay, so not to make light of your health at all, I also, from my own journey, was the door didn't shut. My health didn't afford me to open the door, right? And so now that like, who knows how long you've had these health issues, because usually they take way too long to figure them out. And yet, now that you know what's going on and you're working to get better and do the best you can, by leaving all those other jobs actually helped your health. because your stress level didn't go through the roof. You just said, "Oh, here's a door. I'm taking it. I'm going to go to the next opportunity." Keep my stress level down. Because nothing is worse for a dis-ease in the body than blowing your stress levels.
I agree with you. But but when you're young and you're just starting out, you're in your first jobs, there's a tendency to ignore that until
Oh,
it
I get
gets
it.
very, very bad
Yeah.
and just reaches levels where people can't take it anymore. But this constant, even low levels of stress and that things aren't right, something's not right, it does accumulate over time and causes damage.
Yeah. No, I get it because in my younger life, I just would collapse or end up in the hospital. And then I go, what's going on? So, and so I get it, right? Um, so much so that I used to tease that I was a Benjamin Button movie. Like I started old and decrepit and it's like I'm getting younger every day. Yay. Right? And so but it's also understanding that what is for us will never miss us. We just might take the squirrely road to it, but we'll never miss the target, right? And as much as like whether it's what you have or cancers or whatever disease in the body, it is always here as a blessing to show us a different way, right? And and think of the opportunities as you are healing yourself. You've opened up the opportunity to your managers, which would have never ever entered their head.
No, it wouldn't have. And they would have continued on probably as cleaners or just as low-level managers, never ever expecting anything else in life.
Yeah,
When
because
I
it's
took over, it would have said that we had 32 employees. If 24 showed up on a good day, that's really what we had when I took over.
yeah,
I remember telling Erica and Miriam, get ready for the day when we've got 80 employees walking through those doors.
yeah,
Well, we're 60 plus now.
consistently.
Yeah, every day.
Well, and I remember like in the heyday, right, with my parents' business, and they'd be like, staff would come in and say, "Oh, I need this weekend off," and they'd say no. Then they go, "Well, I quit," because they knew by Monday they'd have a new job, right?
And for many of these people, they can. They're living
But
paycheck to paycheck.
no, I know, but that was in the heyday. Bring in the '80s crash. Bring in the 2007 crash. Nope. And you and I both know, just as you could quit the job, they can let you go,
That is true.
right?
And
And
that has
so,
happened.
and I like how you say every time the door was shown, it was better for you. And that's what I want people to understand that listen to this podcast. A door closing is always the opportunity for better. It's saying where you were isn't for your highest potential. You're not shining here. Your light is getting dimmed for whatever the company's doing. Let the door open and see how many other doors are going to open. And I like your three prong approach because it's like It doesn't keep you in the box of, well, I work in XYZ and I do XYZ. No. If you're a numbers person, you work numbers in any organization. If you're a people person and salesperson, you work people in sales in any organization. Doesn't matter what the widget is. Your essence goes with you. The
They're
product, it doesn't matter.
they're more transferable than people realize.
Well, exactly. Because when I used to help people like in transition of job change, I go, I don't really care what you did at your last job. And they go, well, how are you going to help me find a job? I said, I want to know your soft skills. Who are you as a person? Why should this company hire you? Are you a team player? Are you a loner? Can you work autonomously? Can you work in team? And they're just like, oh, I go, your 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 data skills or whatever, like that stuff. I don't care. Anyone can do that. I want to know who the essence of you are to should this manager hire you.
And that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to your point about the transitions, it's important for people to understand that transitions are never feel comfortable
No.
because you're disrupting a pattern that's been there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And the transition frequently brings, well, some pain with it that there's no income for a while. So you need to make some adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
But the more you can be open to possibilities around you and do some self exploration, the faster you'll get through the transition.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a bit of a recovery period once you find your next door. But over and over and over again, it's what you needed. It's like getting you toward that goal that you were meant to be, where you were meant to go.
Well, and we can't forget to acknowledge the people who have helped us on the journey because you wouldn't be here now talking to me if your parents didn't stretch themselves.
Correct? And many, many other people.
Yeah, right? And so it's like we don't do this journey alone. That's why there's over 8 billion people on the earth. We are here to support and to nurture and to guide each other to the highest potential of who we're supposed to be.
I can't even begin to count the number of people who have been helpful along the way.
Yeah.
Everything from just suggesting another opportunity to check out, another person to talk to, or just having the right phrase or the right s- support at a moment when you needed it.
Yeah.
And you'd be amazed at how many people that you touch during your life that you can go back to later and they're willing to help you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really got braver about that when somebody finally told me that people find it an honor to help you. You ask somebody for help and they go, wow, somebody's asking me for help. I mean, in their eyes, I've got some knowledge, I've got some wisdom, maybe I know somebody that is important to them.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to ask.
Well, and that's the key right there. Is we forget to ask. We go into our silos and think, well, I can't share my problem. Well, they won't understand. Guess what? We all have them. And we all need help to get out of them because we can't see the tree for the forest when we're in it, right? And I don't know anyone on this earth other than under 16 who hasn't lost a job or who hasn't said, I quit, I can't work for you, and landed on their feet. It's
That's right.
part of the growing process, it's part of understanding who you are, right? And like, I don't know if you ever see Gary Vee, but he goes, "You're only 24? You haven't lost 30 jobs by now? What's wrong with you? Like, go and mess up. Go and try everything. Because what it's building is character, showing you exactly what you need and don't need. And if you're still that way at 50, well, then, we got to talk. But you're a baby. You're only 24." And I like that because it's like, oh, like I kept on going, I'd take these jobs. I'm like, oh, this isn't for me. But then I like, instead of going into the next job, I just went, I contract. I've only had one full time corporate job, and that was my last one before I fully went into entrepreneurship. And I was like, how do people do this for 30 years? I lasted 4.5 years and was out.
I struggle to understand that myself.
Hmm.
And the reaction from the listeners, like what you were in corporate. I didn't have traditional corporate jobs. The ones I landed in allowed me to be very creative.
Hmm.
I was usually forming companies, I was putting things together, creating and setting up operations. And to me, that work was very creative.
Hmm. You weren't
Yes, it was
just doing the
inside of this
CF.
box that's a corporation. But
Hmm.
what I wasn't doing is I wasn't stamping the same form all day, every day for all those years.
Yeah.
So I have a hard time understanding somebody who does that. And well, how do you not get bored? How do you not find it mind numbing?
Well, and it was funny because when I was coming to the end of my corporate, like I was going to school, right? So they sent me back to university. So I'm like, okay. So because I had classes on Saturdays, they told me I couldn't work Fridays. Okay. Then I was flying back and forth for my entrepreneurial stuff to LA like every month, and they're just like, so if they saw me in the office, they're like, "Oh, you're working today," because I'm like, if I wasn't in LA, if I wasn't at school, if it, you know, yeah. And it was funny. It was funny. But I don't regret any of it because it's made me who I am today, and it it helps me in my work today of where is the illusion? Where are you stuck in the matrix, right?
That's right.
Because every time you have a transition or transformation, it's like one more layer of the matrix is living, leaving, and you're just like, oh, I had no idea. And you're like, yay, you're waking up. Let's go, let's go. Anyway, we can talk. Um, so what I'll have everything in the show notes of how to get in touch with you. Um, how do you want to take this beautiful conversation, this weave through your life? How do you want to sum it up for the listeners?
I would, first of all, be bold. I mean, go after your dreams. Don't stay stuck in a place just for a paycheck.
Yeah.
There's other ways to get that paycheck. There's other ways to get those benefits.
Hmm.
That's another thing that will keep people stuck. Listen to what your gut is telling you because it knows, and then do something about it. There's a lot of truth to the expression that if you love what you're doing, then it doesn't feel like work.
Hmm.
So if you're waking up and dragging yourself to the office every day and coming home exhausted and collapsing,
Hmm.
it might be a sign that take a look at what's going on in your life
Hmm.
and ask a few questions. Do some self-reflection.
Hmm.
There might be some changes that would benefit you.
Well, and I like you said that because if anything I know is change is constant. And it's our view on how to look at that change that makes it or breaks it.
That's
And
right.
now it's understanding everything has a momentum and a natural flow. Stop being the cog in the wheel. Let the wheel flow. Let it be open to the opportunities, to the advice, to you just never know. Like a certain smile as you walk by somebody might trigger something in your head going, right, that person was really nice to me. I should go back and ask more questions, right?
Get resources all around you.
Yeah,
And don't forget the people that you've met along the way.
yeah,
There, the majority of them will be more than willing to have a conversation with you.
yeah. Well, Todd, thank you for being on the show. This has been an amazing conversation. I hope people learn from it and um, yeah, just take everything in and let it digest and see where it comes. So,
Thank you. Thank you, Adele. It's been great to be your guest.
thank you. Wow, wasn't that a fabulous conversation with Todd? And I love the fact that every time there's a transition, it was for the better. We learn more, we grow more. Yes, it stings. We're not saying it's not a wake up call or it's easy. But just think every time a door or a window closes, 10 more are opening up. And it's also being in the gratitude of everything is for us, not happening to us. I'm just going to mention again if you want to know anything about transition clarity and the work I do in sacred circles, it's amazing work. It's I'm here as your guide. I'm not here to do it for you. If you're ready to step up to your authentic self, to shine the light like nobody else can, as you, reach out. Let's have a conversation. Classes are starting all the time. It's an 8-week program, and we hold that sacred circle for everyone in the group. Please like, share, make a comment. We love to hear from you. And until next time, thank you for listening to Authentic Conversations. I'm your host, Adele Bernard from Transition Clarity. Until next time.